Alright, so cool. This is the alpha shit that I got going on so far. This is just like recreating a level from Doom 64, my favorite level from Doom 64, even simpler. Just because it lets me, it has a lot of mechanics that I'm going to have to make anyways, so it's just kind of a good way to put things together. So, yeah, look around, pick stuff up, go ahead and hit that switch, which will raise these platforms. The enemies won't attack right now. They're on pathing systems and stuff, but the enemies are just kind of programmed to take damage and to die. I haven't really been putting much work into them just yet. I'm trying to work on my other systems. But yeah, so you can shoot them, they die. Not supposed to be, you can jump, but I'm pretending like you can't because this is Doom. So there's my shotgun, got some nice spreads going on. There's also the nice blood effect. So once I kill him, it's going to trigger some stairs to come up and do enemy spawn. So kill him. So you know all these stairs have come up. And now we got Keiko demons going on. Go around and kill these guys. Really like the blood effect turned out really nicely. And that's just one of many effects that can be, or will be able to be done. I'm going to grab the chain gun. You can also switch between guns pretty easily there. This is cool. We'll find the other guys. There's one. Got the rocket launcher. Now it actually doesn't do damage right now. Projectiles have been on the sidebar. There we go, killed him. So he was in a, I'm gonna chill state. Looks like he is too. So I killed the inner ring, which triggered the last ring to open, which has these guys, and then it also spawns more guys in here. I'm gonna go with the shotgun because it's just by far the most fun to use because of all the blood. Like, die. Alright. So then, like, there's this, there's the traps. I'm aware that these always face one direction. I do have actual 3D sprite animation going on, like how these guys always just face me. Like, I do actually have it built so it will show like their sides and different animations, but it's in my old project. It hasn't been implemented into this one yet, just because that's just really not a priority right now. Actually, having a engine is priority right now. Go ahead and kill him. This is kind of the last thing that happens, because after you kill these enemies, this would be the end of the level traditionally. But yeah, so like all these that you step on will trigger all these dudes. Right now you can't take damage. Just the controller, the weapon systems, and the med systems have been the big things that I've been working on. But yeah, I guess that's about it. So let's close this and look in the background of how this all works. So here's my scene. Just from the get-go right now you can see in my scene I have one of my the projectile events going on that we just saw. I have one of those selected. You can see I have it all set up in here. It just takes in my projectile info and will spawn it at runtime. You can dynamically make it do whatever you want there. You can have it play a sound if you want to. It doesn't have to. You can see here with my editor tools, it'll actually draw lines to all of the triggers that can activate this event. And then you can also see it shows like area. So this is an area trigger. So like, you know, walking through it. But there's also like interact triggers and enemy kill triggers, etc. So like if I were to click on this guy, yeah, this guy's an enemy kill trigger. You can see up here, and like all these have had editor tools added onto them to make them a bit better, like to hide the things I don't need, to do extra stuff that I do need. Like for example, this is the editor tools kind of inherit on top of each other for at least the events, and all the events have a draw line to trigger tool, but this one, because I also want to be able to draw lines to, because this is an enemy spawn event, so I want to draw lines to the references of the spawns, the enemy spawns that will spawn on this when this activates. But I can also just tell it to go and show just the triggers that it's attached to, do both, or just do none. And actually, that's another thing. The way we deal with enemies, I'm just gonna hide this roof real quick. The way we do enemies is you don't just, oops, weird. You don't just put like an enemy in the scene, just have it sit there. Like all it is a reference to where an enemy will exist at some point. I can actually click on it so you can see it. It's just what kind of enemy it is. So I had this guy set to spawn as a mancubus, whether it should spawn on like level start. So like these guys I want existing as soon as you start the level, so they do. But otherwise you would have that off, and then you'd use like an event to trigger the spawn. And then the AI networks that they're going to use. So these flags here are your waypoints, which is what the enemies are using to navigate around. So if I go and look down at, select one of my AI networks here, you can see how same deal, it'll draw my waypoint systems here. So there's like the inner sanctum system and the outer ring and there. These are just basic waypoint systems set up, because right now, like I said, I haven't been doing too much work on enemies, but they can alternate and switch between these. There's also more work to this, like with the nav meshing and using dynamic, see if I can click on it here, dynamic mesh obstacles and stuff. It's interesting. So yeah, so the enemy is just a reference that gets spawned, and that's how I can have this guy, the enemy spawn event, like, these are my references, which is these guys. So when this guy triggers, he's just gonna spawn these. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some triggers. So each trigger is just one script. All triggers are just one script. So I'm using editor tools to kind of hide everything that you don't need to see. If you're using an interact trigger, you really don't need to see enemy references and stuff like that. So we got an interact trigger here. You can tell it to destroy after it's used, play a sound, how long you want the sound to play for, like if you're going to loop it. You just leave, I have a help message here, leave field to 0 if you're just going to play the sound once. And then of course the sound you're going to play. And the interact trigger is the ones that, like, the one at the beginning there where I actually had to press a button to use the switch. To raise the platform. So that's an interact trigger. And then let's look at what is this? Okay, enemy kills trigger. So once again, this is the same script, but now I'm hiding the other information that doesn't be needed. And I just have it set to this one I want to destroy after the spawn. There's no point in it staying around afterwards. And then I have the list of enemy references. And this is all being handled through event listener systems. Especially the enemy kills, because it needs to, like, not this one. Oh no, it is this one. So this one's listening for enemies to die that won't exist at runtime right away, and that's kind of the big reason why the enemies needed to be spawn references and not enemies themselves, because these can just sit in the scene, and when they spawn, then I'm gonna close up some of these. Then this will switch from listening to the references to the actual enemies, and then it will listen for them to actually die, and then once all of them have spawned and died, then it will activate whatever is attached to it. I am going to build a tool to show the lines from the one trigger to all the events that are listening to it, but that one's actually a bit more complicated, and it's not hard, it's just more lengthy, and it's on my to-do list. Like, I'm making this video now because, like, a lot of the big stuff that I'm going to be doing for now is done. I need to do a lot of fine-tuning now before I can continue. So that's the enemy one, and then let's just look at a simple area trigger, which literally just needs to do you want to destroy after use. I have it ticked off here because the pickup event that's also attached here will take care of that. And then your play sound on trigger, and then what layers you want to be able to interact with the trigger. And I mean, I really only want the player to be able to interact with the pickup. So I mean, the pickup event's pretty damn simple. It's just you pick up an item or you pick up a whatever. So this is its triggers for the event. If you want there to be a delay before the actual event takes place, and then all I have to do is tell it what data I want to do, and then bam. So I don't know why it's doing that. It's really annoying. There we go. I'm gonna hide gizmos for a minute. So like right now this is set up to be a health. but I can easily just be like, be a rocket launcher now. And then it should have changed and didn't. So now I need to look at my editor tools. So I'm confused why that didn't change. Alright, well that's always a good thing to have in your demo. Let's just put that back to where it was. Hold on, just let me pull up my bug list. So that's in my editor tools I gotta look at. I've been changing the structure of my editor tools, so I probably broke it somewhere without realizing it. So the pickup events are super simple. All you gotta do is do that. Because the trigger I need can just be attached to the same thing. There's no point in having it somewhere else. What else is there for events? There's the move event. These are nice. So it has all your typical stuff that I want for all events. And then it's like, do I want it to be one way? So like, once it's moved in its position, like, is it a door? Do I want it going up and down, or is it like this, where once it's to the top, I want it to stay there and never move again? So is it one way? And then that's just so like, it'll be like, okay, I've done my thing. I can unsubscribe to the listeners. I don't need to do that anymore. You really want to be on top of unsubscribing to listeners when you're not using them, to prevent memory leaks. And then can move while moving is more for like, I'm opening the door. If I click the button immediately, like again, while it's still moving, do I want it to cancel its current move and go in the other way, or do I want it to force wait? And then here's where it's like, okay, set your current start position, set your end position. That's all you got to do. Now the event will move it to those positions. And then it's like, okay, I want you to teleport to the end position, just for ease of access. So there you go, now it's in the end position, teleported back to the start position. I don't want to do it on this, because it's going to mess things up. So I'm just going to make a second one here real quick that I'll delete. The awesome textures that you don't need to see. So now I'm going to say use current position. So now this is all grayed out, and it's just wherever it is, it's going to use that position on start. And then same with N, but you can only do it for one. Like, I won't let you use it for both. So that's the same. 1 second. Pick up, spawn, enemies, etc. So that's that. So that's a lot of like this stuff. So now let's look at my actual editor tools. So the events, I'm gonna have a ton of them. They're not built yet except for pickup, which lets you just make a simple pickup. And then my designers don't ever have to look inside the hierarchy because I don't want them to. So cool, let's make a health pickup, name it Poopy. I want it to be a 2D item. You can use anything. I'm actually going to use a health pack visual. Pickup sound is actually going to be getting moved out of this. It's going to be part of the pickup event instead, but for now it's there. Then I can set a collider size for it. And then also look at my message here. Collider size only applies to pickups attached to a game object with an area trigger. It can be manually overwritten in scene. So what that means is, if the pickup isn't actually attached to a game object that also has the trigger on it, then this isn't going to do anything. Because the trigger's hitbox is elsewhere. But if it is on it, then it will do this for you instead of having to manually tweak it. Then I just have some presets made. Then the amount of health you want to make, you want it to give you, and then you would hit save. I don't really want to save this, so I'm just going to hit cancel, but then it would actually create it inside of my resources folder there for later use. What happened to my thing here? Did I delete the wrong thing by accident? I think I had them both selected. Okay, whew, glad I noticed that. Yeah, that's just this is a little error warning message that I have. No audio source attached to event object, because all events can use an audio source, or can play an audio. So if you don't attach them, we'll default to default audio source at runtime. So like I'll add one at runtime if it doesn't exist, but it means you're also just going to be getting the defaults. So if you want to actually tweak your audio source to be specific, you need to add it beforehand, but it's also not going to break. That's why it's just a warning. So anyways, we'll go back to the weapon editor. So this is where a lot of my work has come in here. So you can straight up create new weapons, create new behaviors. So let's just make a new gun right now. And we're going to call it the Test Gun 2000. So right now 3D support is almost there. It's not there quite yet, so that's why I'm doing all 2D, because I really wanted to have fun with messing with Doom. So I'm going to pick some of my visuals that I have right now. I don't have a crazy amount, because having 17 different gun looks and animations isn't really going to get more mechanics done. So let's go with the Super Shotgun, because I really like that. And then I can either... Actually, no. I'm gonna try and save it right now. So yeah, weapon must have at least one weapon behavior. So like, I will not let you create the weapon and the behaviors unless you actually have everything that's required. So, therefore, no errors. So okay, I'm gonna add an existing. Actually, no, we'll do that after. Let's add a new behavior. So this can also just be done right here in behaviors, but it can also be done. Whoops, I don't want that. Through the weapon thing here, and then it will be automatically added to the weapon. So sure, let's make my hit scan. This hit scan, projectile launcher, and this will be hidden eventually. Projectile launcher is in coding right now, so I'm just going to create a hit scan. But this is where the real power is going to start coming in, so I'm going to hit scan 1. What layers do I want it to hit? I think I want it to be able to hit the player and the enemies. And you can go ahead and hit the water layer and then the default layer. Shoot sound effects. Let's go with... Oh, I don't know. Well, I guess the shotgun sound would be appropriate, but I can make that anything. Fire rate. Let's make it 1.4. Impact effect data. I've only created one right now because it's Doom, so it's literally just blood effects on enemies. Bullet effects on non-enemies. So there's a data that's shared between all. And then, okay, so shoot range. So how long do I want it to go for? 0 is infinity. I'm going to leave it at 0 for hit scan. How many bullets per shot? This is the Super Shotgun. Super Shotgun, I think, does actually 21 shots. And then we don't want it to have perfect spread or perfect aim, because that would be really stupid, especially for a shotgun. So we're going to increase the range here. Whoops, that's not increasing it. Increase the range here. It's a bit bigger. And there's actually some more things that I've made for this that haven't been implemented into the current tool. So I'm going to save this. Now you can see it's part of my weapon. So that's cool. Now I have like my weapon. So then I can override the behavior SFX, which means like every behavior has its own sound effects. You just saw that I turned that on, but you'll see why this is important in a minute. So I can choose to ignore whatever the behavior sound effect is and use a different sound effect that will apply to everything. And then same with the universal fire rate. I can tell it to like, I don't want you to use your fire rate from within the behavior. I just want you to do your behavior stuff. I'll handle the fire rate universally on the gun. And then I can choose to tie it to the animation. So the shoot animation, or the cooldown can literally just be 100% of the animation or whatever. Or you can have it just be its own fire rate. So now, I don't know, I like that I shoot bullets, and this would be a lot better if I actually had I'm really close to finishing this. I should have finished the tool yet first. If I could actually add the projectile through this. But let's say I wanted my thing to shoot shotgun and rockets at the same time. Well, okay, I'll just add another behavior and pretend like this is the projectiles, and now it'll do both. And that's why you want override, because now I can say like, I don't want these playing their individual ones, I want it played individually. I want to use universal fire rate so these will shoot at the same time. but you can also not want that. I want let's say I want to make an assault rifle that also shoots a grenade every 3 seconds. So then I wouldn't use the universal fire rate, and I would have them both there. And then I can go save, and now that's a weapon. So now I can actually open my weapons here, I got a bunch of test stuff in here, so I can click on it. You can see. I'm gonna. Well, actually, I know how to make a lot of this more visually appealing. It's just right now there's once again priorities. So there's my Doom 64 chain gun, pistol, rocket launcher, poopy because I'm just really good at test names. Test 1. There's my test gun 2000 that I just made. I can open it up, edit it if I want to. I'm not going to. Now, oh man, I want a quick way to test that. So let's just make the Doom guy's starting weapon be the shotgun. Or beat, not the shotgun, but the gun I just made. There you go. Now I can test it easily. And I'm using the pickup sound effect. And I just have some insane spread going on this gun there, you can see. Look at all that spread. Holy crap. That's some crazy ass spread. It looks a little funky because I'm using the hit normal for the bullets. And since they're 2D animations, it looks a little weird. Yeah, so it's just that easy. And now I'm just gonna go back into this. I don't want you to have those anymore. You just be a pistol now. So I'm gonna open that up real quick one more time. I don't want to use the universal fire rate or that. So there we go. There you go. Now it's a pistol. And the whole point of this is just to have complete fucking versatility with how you want to make your weapons. Like, there's gonna be laser projectile, like anything you think of eventually. It's a lot of work. This is a big project, so it's taking time. But this is because, like, the idea is kind of like roguelike, random generated weapons type stuff. So, like, just having data objects, like, it's kilobytes in size. I'm not making prefabs. I'm not doing anything. There's one prefab that everything gets built off of that just loads in the data. And then I could do, like, let's say I wanted to make, like, super upgradable guns or something. Like, you start with a shitty pistol, and then you can upgrade and add behaviors to it until it's a fucking haymaker's crazy thing. Like, the options are endless. And then this is just general stuff across the whole game. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on here. It's a full FPS engine, not just like a game with, like, not just cut it in my exact, like, vision of what I want to make. Like, I'm not even sure what I want to make right now. This could be used for anything. This could be used for multiplayer. This could be used for a story experience. It could be used for what I generally had in mind, like a roguelike. It could be adapted to not be an FPS. Like, I'm going to be having melee weapons as well. Like, the weapon editor is called weapon editor, not gun editor, because I'm going to have stuff like that. So, like, this is a big thing, and I think it's going to help me get jobs to show that I know how to make dynamic engine stuff instead of hard-coded everything. Like, sure, I could have made a pistol, a shotgun, a chain gun really quickly if I just copy and pasted code and tweaked some things, but then they're hard-coded. What the fuck? Like, how's the designer supposed to do anything? They can't unless they know how to code and fuck with my code, which I don't want them to do. This allows the designers to make whatever the fuck they want and not touch my code. So yeah, I guess that's the end of my demo. This actually took pretty long. It's like a 23-minute video, so sorry about that. Peace, guys.